Hi everyone, my name is Kaylie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay everybody, it is currently 5:30 in the morning. Once it hits 7 o'clock, it will be 24 hours since I slept, okay? The reason why is because I'm supposed to go home back to Pennsylvania in like 4 hours. I stayed up all night packing, going through today's story time because right now it's currently Thursday at 5:30 in the morning. I'm also in a little bit of a manic episode. Usually this happens whenever I don't get sleep, so if it seems like my ADHD is acting up, it probably is. But you know what? I feel like that adds a little bit of spice to the video. All right, but let's get into today's story time. Today is going to be a long one. I am almost positive. I won't be surprised if this is 50 minutes. All right, I'm going to bring you guys up close. There we go. Also, if my skin looks like it is irritated, it probably is because I also did my makeup earlier today for a TikTok story time. And yes, I know my lashes are falling out. Also, I did want to touch on something real quick with you guys. So as you can tell from the title of today's story time, there's kind of a trend going on with the videos that I've been doing recently. So I want to say at the beginning of August, since school was starting up, I asked you guys to send in your high school horror stories, you know, and a lot of you did that. So right now we did freshman, sophomore year, we're doing junior year today, and then we're gonna do senior year. But if you guys like these videos, let me know, and because a lot of people sent some in, so I could definitely post more of these kinds of videos on here. Just let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so real quick before we get into today's story time, for most of the video I will be looking in this direction because my mirror's over here and I would like to see what I'm doing. I do tell these story times in a first person point of view, and if you don't like that, then you can leave, and these story times are sent in by anonymous people. Okay, so story time about my dad's secret family. So a little background information. I'm 17 years old and in 11th grade, and this all starts at the beginning of my junior year. Over the summer I had made some friends at this camp that I usually go to, and I also got my license finally. So my dad bought me a car, and yes, I said finally because I did fail my driver's test 5 times, all because I forgot to have both hands on the wheel. Like, I'm sorry, but my grandma drives with 2 hands on the fucking wheel, and she's still a bad driver. Anyways, so with that being said, my life was going pretty good. I mean, sure, I was super excited slash nervous for my junior year because one, I have to make sure that I do extremely good this year if I want to get into college, because I'm not gonna lie, freshman and sophomore year, not my year. I really did not care about school, and now I'm trying to make up for my bad decisions, all because I didn't want to do my homework that took 5 minutes to do. And 2, obviously I am excited that I am 1 year closer to being able to move out of my parents' house and live my life the way I want to live it. I mean, not only that, but over the summer I had started gaining some followers on TikTok. I had about 200,000 followers, which I know is not a lot, but because of this, popular kids started talking to me. And yes, this was weird, okay, because I did not mingle with the popular kids. Reason being, I usually hung out with the what you would call hot Cheeto girls, and anybody who hung out with the hot Cheeto girls did not hang out with the popular kids, which doesn't make sense because I literally was a hot Cheeto girl too. So I don't know why everybody hates on them. They're usually like the nicest people. Anyway, so obviously I was the exception. With that being said, I started being invited to a ton of parties, but one thing I do want to add in here real quick is that it was super weird because I started blowing up on TikTok at like the beginning of summer, right? And it wasn't even like I saw these popular kids anywhere, you know, like I didn't live in the same neighborhood as them, we didn't go to the same places, we had no reason to communicate at all. But I think after I hit 100K on TikTok, it was like, this person added you, this person added you, this person added you, this person wants to be friends, this person requested to follow you, and it was all the popular kids. And yes, obviously I know that these kids aren't my real friends, okay, I'm not that gullible, but it was nice to be hanging out with the in crowd, you know, and actually be invited to stuff for once. Because usually what would happen is one person at the popular kids party who was friends with my friends and me, aka the hot Cheeto girls, they would tell us, sure, you can come, and then we would end up crashing the party, and it was super awkward and we felt super uncomfortable. So I didn't have to worry about that anymore. Anyway, so this back to school party that I went to was super fun. Also, since I started hanging out with the popular girls, the guys, the popular guys started being super nice to me and finally started to notice me and take a little bit of interest in me. But there was this one guy at the party who was following me around like a damn dog. And from my understanding, I thought that meant that he was into me, right? Anyway, so the party dies down and him and I are sitting in the living room together by ourselves. I mean, actually there was this girl who was like low-key passed out 2 feet away from us. But yeah, we were basically alone, okay? Because that girl was like, gone. Anyways, nothing spectacular happened, you know. We made out, exchanged numbers. To be honest, I didn't even know this kid existed before tonight, okay? But I had a little bit of a crush on him now. Of course, because we can't just be like, oh my god, we had one kiss, don't fall in love with him. Why can't our brains work like that? Well, somebody else clearly had a crush on him too, because I texted him the next day and I'm like, hey, had a super good time with you last night, you know, we should go out and do something. And he sent me one message back that literally says, I have a girlfriend. And I'm just like, what the fuck? But then again, you know what? I actually was not surprised one bit. Okay, because after sobering up in the morning and looking back on our little excursion, he did seem like a little bit of a douchebag. Like whenever I went to walk inside the house and he just like didn't hold the door open, you know, or didn't leave the door open for me when he went in first, he just let it close and it hit me. Yeah, red flags, people. Be on the lookout for them. Don't be blind to them, because then you can only blame yourself. Anyway, so fast forward a couple days to now and I get a follow request on Instagram from this one girl. Now, this wouldn't be weird, okay? But this girl just so happens to follow the guy that I hooked up with the night of that party. And I know you're probably also thinking, well, Kaylee, she could follow a lot of people that went to that party. See, I thought about that, okay? But the issue with that is, so you know how you go on someone's Instagram and it'll show you what people you guys have in common? Yeah, we did not have one other person in common, not one. So that is why I was super weirded out, because it was only him. So since I had just followed this kid the night of the party and then I convinced myself that I wasn't into him, I never went on his Instagram and like fully stalked him, okay? But now I was like, okay, I need to find out if this is his girlfriend, because I need to know if I'm about to get cussed the fuck out or not. So I'm on his Instagram and I'm looking around and he has absolutely no pictures with any girls, not even his mother. So I'm like, okay, weird. So I was like, all right, maybe he's just not the type to post his girlfriend because, you know, of what happened between me and him in the party. He's a cheater. Yeah. Anyway, so I went onto her Instagram. She did not have one picture with him either. So I'm like, all right, maybe they're the couple that just doesn't post each other. So I go and look in any pictures that they're tagged in. So I go look at any pictures that they're tagged in, and they are tagged in one, and they're standing next to each other with their heads against each other and their arms around each other like that. And I'm like, And they were like super close together. So I was like, yeah, this has to be his girlfriend. So at this point, I just decided to take the L and assume that this is his girlfriend, because even though he doesn't have any pictures up with her, at least he had the decency to tell me he had a girlfriend before it went any further. Also, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get cussed the fuck out. Anyway, so a couple of weeks go past and I'm like a month into school and I haven't thought about this situation since like a day after she followed me, because I was like, all right, she should have DM'd me by now and went off on me, and since she didn't, I just don't care. But like I said, it's like a month later and I realized that this girl is low-key stalking my social media. I'm sorry, social medias. And I think it's even weirder because it's a month after that situation. I mean, maybe not. Maybe her boyfriend finally had a moment of clarity and decided to be a good human being and tell her what happened that night. Probably not though. In all honesty, I think somebody else told her. And this is something that I literally just did not want to fucking deal with. I don't want the drama. It's not my fault your boyfriend did not mention you before we made out. And it's not my job to ask everybody if they have a girlfriend. And usually the girlfriends end up going after the girl when it's the boyfriend's fault for cheating on you. So I'm thinking this is exactly how that situation's gonna go. She is going to go the fuck off on me because her man decided to make out with me. See, you don't even have to be in a relationship with a man for him to cause you problems. It's insane. Anyway, so like I said before, she is definitely stalking my ass on social media. She went through and liked every single one of my fucking Instagram pictures. Yup. And I had a public Finsta that my TikTok followers followed me on. And then I had a private one where obviously only my close friends would follow and stuff like that. By the way, if you don't know what a Finsta is, it is a spam account for Instagram. Meaning you post random stuff on there that you would not post on your main account. By the way, if you don't know what a Finsta is, do you hide under a rock? It's 2022. Get it together. So, you know, as I said before, she follows me on my main account, and that was, you know, a month ago. And then she went through and she liked every single photo on there. And then she went through on my Finsta, my public one, and liked all my pictures on there. I had 250 fucking pictures on that account. Sis was putting in the work. And then she requested to be my friend on Facebook. She added me on Snapchat. And she requested to be my friend on Be Real. Like, this girl was seriously putting in the work. Because not only was she doing that, did she just like do, you know, like add me on everything once. I swear, every single day, this girl was checking to see if I accepted her request on all my socials. Because, you know, Wednesday, I get a request on there from her. I leave it there. I don't fucking touch it. I don't care. And then the next day, I get a notification, this person wants to follow you. And I'm like, why am I getting this again? So then I decline that one. And then the next day, you can guess what happens. She friends requests me again and requests to follow me again on everything. But I'm at a point in my life where I decide that I want to be an adult. So I decided that I should probably DM her and apologize for the situation that happened with her man and just see what she says. Because maybe she thinks it's one of those situations where like we're both dating the same guy and we don't know about each other, but she found out about me, so she's gonna like tell me about it and then we're gonna become like besties. But you know, while I'm thinking of these ridiculous scenarios, I decided that once I'm gonna think of a more logical answer. AKA, she knows about me, but she doesn't know that her boyfriend and I hooked up. So I DM this girl on Instagram and I'm like, hey, saw you like some of my pictures. You're really pretty. And I felt like that was a good way to kind of break the ice, you know? I'm being nice, I'm being polite, and you're not getting anything else out of me except for that. So take it or leave it. So fast forward a few hours, I go back onto Instagram and I go look at my messages to see if she said anything back, and she should have, to be honest, because this girl's always on Instagram 24/7. As soon as I post a picture, like. Which, yes, she could have notifications on for me, but still, it's weird. For you to be on your phone 24/7 and be on there every single time I post a fucking picture, it's a little weird, dude. Anyway, so I go on there and I realized that it said she read it 10 minutes after I fucking sent the message, but she just never replied. So one, now I'm kind of annoyed. You've stalked the hell out of me. I finally give you an opening to talk to me and you don't take it. And two, if you're his girlfriend, just beat my ass already. Beat my ass. Like, now I think that I was not thinking logically earlier, because his girlfriend definitely knows that him and I did shit together, because I sent her a compliment and she never replied. Who doesn't reply to compliments? And it's not even like it was a week later, so it'd been awkward to reply. No. And I guess I could have just left the situation at that, but I decided I'm not gonna let her intimidate me by stalking my shit out in the open for me to see. Meaning, she's so comfortable making me uncomfortable, you know? She'll go on my page, she'll like all of my posts, right? Doesn't give one flying fuck. You know, like usually you don't just go through liking everybody's shit on Instagram, except for her. Anyway, so like I said, I'm done letting her intimidate me. So I decided to stalk her ass as well. And after about 10 minutes, because you know, I'm a freaking genius detective, I found out what high school she goes to, what high school she used to go to, where she lives, where she used to live, what sports she used to play, and a few other things, but yeah, I don't want to look creepy. So now she goes to a school that's a district over from where I go to school, and these schools aren't in the same town, but they're literally like 30 minutes away from each other. So I do know like 3 kids that go to her school. So I decided to ask them if they know anything about this girl, and every single one of them were like, I don't really know. She just moved here. Which is useless fucking information because I already knew that. And I definitely thought that they knew more. So I was like low-key threatening them for information about this girl, which I'm not proud of, but still. I needed to know why this girl was so fucking obsessed with me. But the main thing that I wanted to know was who she was dating. I was like, are you sure you don't know who she's dating? And everybody's like, no, you know. I mean, the only thing that I did hear is that she went to school like only 3 times a week. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that was a little sus. Now listen, I have a lot of weird scenarios that go on in my head, okay? But I start to think that this may be one of the girls who purposely failed high school so that way she could stay with her boyfriend. And it was like killing 2 birds with 1 stone because she didn't have to go to school every single day. But this is the only thing that I could think of why this girl is so obsessed with me. And I had told my friends about it, right? And they were like, dude, you're literally a psycho. So fast forward, it's the middle of October. Our school's football team was playing her school's football team, and it just happened to be at their school. Well, one of the people that I had asked about my stalker, and by the way, that is what we are calling this girl. Anyways, I pretty much asked them to keep an eye on her so that way I could kind of gather any intel to see why she's obsessed with me. And it just so happens that one of them found out that she's going to be working the concession stand at the football game. And I was with all my friends, but I definitely did not want to intimidate her by walking up to her while she's working with my whole group of friends and just be like, yo, why the fuck are you stalking me, you weirdo? That was not my style. Instead, I tell my friends that I'm gonna go to the bathroom. So there's nobody in line, and I decide to run over there because it looks like she's just playing on her phone, so I didn't mind really interrupting her. I was a little bit anxious, but we were good because I was ready to tell this bitch to stick it where the sun don't shine. I'm joking, I just asked her for a drink. Anyways, and when I asked her for a drink, she looked up at me. She looked petrified. She just stood there for a second and stared at me like, yeah. So when she turned around to go and get the drink, I decided to start talking to her because she didn't even say anything whenever I asked her for the drink. She literally just like looked at me and she was like, and like turned around and went and grabbed the drink. I was like, hey, by the way, I saw you like some of my photos on Instagram, and I tried to DM you on Instagram, but I don't know if you saw it or not. Now, obviously, I know that she fucking saw it, but I didn't want to make things more awkward than they already were. But speaking of making things awkward, this bitch goes, oh yeah, I saw it. Here's your drink, by the way. I have to go and do dishes, but hopefully we can chat soon. It was nice to meet you. And I'm like, what the fuck? First of all, she just told me that she read my fucking message that I sent her a while ago. She didn't even reply. And then she goes, hopefully we can chat soon. What the fuck does that mean? We could have chatted. I DM'd you, huh? Anyways, before I can say anything else, this girl speed walks over to the freaking sink, puts her headphones in real quick, and I'm like, all right, whatever, I'm not even doing this. To be honest, I was more stunned at her answer about like the DM or whatever that I completely forgot to ask her about the boyfriend situation. And I also wanted to ask her how the fuck she knows me. But as you guys can tell, that plan failed miserably. So the game ended, and I was going to try and see her before I left, but by the time I had got over to the concession stand, it was already closed down, and yeah, so I figured she probably got out of there as fast as possible. Anyways, but since our school won, we decided to go out to eat with some of the boys from the football team to celebrate. And I wasn't gonna go because I was just feeling weird after that whole situation tonight, but I'm happy that I did because the guy that I made out with at the party was also there, obviously, because he plays football. Anyway, so my friend and I drove over to the restaurant and we met everybody there. The waiter comes over, seats us, and I hurry up and I go sit next to the guy that I made out with. Like, I run over there and I pull that chair out and I'm like, sorry. By the way, this guy doesn't get a name because he's a douchebag. Anyway, so after I literally just like freaking skirted over and sat down, you know, without even asking him if anybody was sitting there, without even looking if anybody else was gonna sit next to him, he just looks at me and he's like, and he goes, do you like have a problem reading social cues? And I'm like, what does that mean? And he's like, that girl was about to sit there. The girl that I've been talking to. And I was like, wait, do you mean talking? And he's like, oh God, no. I mean, just like, and he goes, oh God, no, since we got to the restaurant, I mean. So I'm like, all right, bud, doesn't matter to me. You do you. But then the girl gave me a super dirty look and walked away, which I could care less because my life was more important than whatever the hell she wanted to do with this man. And he's like, so thanks for that. And I'm like, excuse me, Shannon has a boyfriend. The girl who just gave me a dirty look and then walked away. She has a boyfriend. And second of all, last time I checked, you told me you had a girlfriend. Which, by the way, I met her tonight and you're gross. She was actually super sweet and you're a dick. And then he's like, nope, impossible. My girlfriend's not from here. And I'm like, well, that's weird because I literally just met her and I just talked to her for like 20 minutes. I lied. But still. So now he's like freaking out. He's like, oh my God, did you say anything? You know, he's like, she's probably here to surprise me. Oh my God, da 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 da. He's being a big crybaby. So I tell him no, but I'm pretty sure that she is already aware of what happened because she's been like fucking stalking me on social media. And then he starts laughing and he's like, yeah, that's completely impossible. Because I have her Instagram on my phone and she does not follow you. So now I'm feeling a little bit embarrassed, weirded out. I don't even know how to feel. Yeah, I'm embarrassed. And he's like, also, my girlfriend lives in Michigan and she just got home from work. You want to know how I know? Because I have her location on Life 360 on my phone. And then he goes, but seriously, if you tell anybody that I have a fucking girlfriend, I will ruin your life. Don't go spreading that shit around. And I'm not focused about him being a cheater right now. I'm more focused on this girl who is stalking me, but I know nothing about now. And apparently I don't even know who she really is. So I'm like, okay, how do you explain the picture that you two were tagged in together? And he was like, well, my mom and her mom were in the same book club whenever we were a little bit younger. And since her and I were the only two kids that were dragged to this freaking book club, we low-key became best friends. And then he goes, did you even look at who posted the picture? So I go on my phone and I look at who, like, what the username was. Yeah, it was literally the username of the book club. That's embarrassing. And I was like, well, this girl has been stalking me ever since we made out at the party, so you can't blame me for thinking that this was your girlfriend, especially because you told me you had one. And he's like, can you stop saying that so fucking loud? Anyways, no, she's not my fucking girlfriend. But we're all going back to Bobby's house if you want to get into some stuff. And see, this is why he does not get a name in this story time. So I was like, no, you're fucking gross. You're lucky I don't tell your girlfriend. But I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna go to sleep. Anyways, so enough about that guy. Now my focus was directly on this girl who was obsessed with me, because now I'm concerned. She doesn't have a reason to stalk me. I mean, stalkers don't really need reasons to stalk people, but since I know that she's not his girlfriend and I don't know her and I know damn well she doesn't know me, so I thought about DMing her, but in all honesty I just decided to block her because that was probably the only thing that I could do, you know? Also, I'm trying to focus on school. I don't have time for drama. So I block her that night whenever I get home at like 1 in the morning. And then when I wake up at like 9 in the morning, I have a follow request on Instagram from a very, very, very clearly fake account. It had 2 followers and it had a black profile picture. Like, dude, I'm not fucking stupid. And guys, it was way too damn early in the morning for this. So what did I do? I blocked her again. Well, for the next few months this was happening on and off, right? One day I'll get a request from a fake account and then I wouldn't get one for a week, and then I would get one that day. I would get 5 more the next day, and that just kept going on and on and on and on and on. But around Christmas time is whenever she started stalking me, okay? I'm not talking about over the internet anymore. I'm talking about physically in person stalking me. Like, I had gotten tickets to go to this one concert with one of my friends and I posted them on my story asking, hey, who's going? And on my Snapchat I have like the subscribe thing, so I can post it to all my subscribers and like everyone pretty much. And I guess I forgot to monitor that as well. But like I said, I posted my tickets that had what floor, what seats, what row, pretty much it had all my seats on there, of course, like any other ticket would. So tell me why I'm at this concert, and I get up to go to the bathroom, and as I am walking up the stadium stairs, when I see her sitting 3 rows behind my best friend and I look at her, and when I look over and realize that it's her, she's literally just staring at me, just like this, like no shame in her game. So I like hurry up, turn my head, and keep walking up the stairs, but like I like was looking over and she was just still staring at me. So I come back from the bathroom, she's still sitting there, which I'm happy about because I'm thankful that she didn't get up from her chair to come and look for me and kidnap me. Anyway, so I sit down next to my best friend and I kind of nudge her and I'm like, hey, the girl who is directly behind you is the girl who's been stalking me and making all those fake accounts. She's literally 3 rows up and right behind you. So my best friend turns around and looks directly at her, and again, this girl's staring directly back at her. So she hurries up and she turns forward and she's like, wait, you're talking about the one with her mom who's in the wheelchair, right? And I'm like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? So I turn around and once again, I see her staring at me, which is expected, but I did see her mom sitting next to her. How did I know it was her mom? Because she had a t-shirt on that had an arrow pointing towards her mom saying greatest mom in the world. And her mom had a shirt with an arrow pointing towards her that said best daughter in the world. What, creepiest fucking kid in the world. Yeah, I don't think best is the word. I think creepy. And for my best friend's sake, you know, to not seem like a psycho, I was like, oh yeah, maybe you're right, you know, maybe I do have the wrong person, you know. But after that, I literally just felt her eyes burning into the back of my head for the rest of the concert. Like, I was literally so scared to turn around and make eye contact with her. It was ridiculous. Because not only did she keep the eye contact, right, her face wouldn't change. It's not like she would go, no, she would sit there and she would be like, and just stare at you. It was creepy. And yes, I thought about going up to her and asking her like, hey, what the fuck is up with all these fake accounts? It's weird, it's creepy, you're fucking weird. But 1, it would be embarrassing if it wasn't her. 2, her mom's in a wheelchair and I'm not about to go up to her in front of her mother while she's clearly spending time with her mother and be like, hey, your daughter's a fucking weirdo. Not a good look. So after Christmas, I got a job at Macy's, right? And I was working in the women's clothing department, but somehow this girl found out my work schedule. Now granted, I only worked 6 hours a day, 3 days a week, right? She found out my work schedule and she would come in every time that I was working and try on a bunch of clothes and then leave and not buy anything. Not one single thing. So not only am I weirded out, but I'm also pissed off because like now I have to put all this shit away. So thank you very much. So because of this shit, I finally decided to tell my mom. Okay, because I was getting really creeped out, you know. Being stalked on social media is one thing, you know, it happens. I mean, it can become dangerous, but she was stalking me. But now, since it was like becoming in person, you know, stalking, I was actually very scared for my life. So like I said, I tell my mom about it and she's concerned, but she's not extremely concerned, you know. She's like, well, people get stalked all the time, you have followers, you know. So she tells me to go and tell my dad about this. So I do. I show him all the screenshots of the messages, the fake accounts. I was able to get a video of her at the concert while she was helping her mom out of the wheelchair or whatever. And I also got videos of her from my work whenever she was like fucking walking around low-key spying on me, but like pretending to try on clothes like a weirdo. So my dad tries to downplay it and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Honey, we can't even see her faces in any of these. It would be rude to just assume that she's stalking you. Are you sure this is the same person? So I pull up her Instagram because I'm like, okay, maybe if he like sees what she looks like, he'll be able to like kind of pinpoint her in all the pictures, you know, like be like, oh, okay, that is her. So I pull up her Instagram and as soon as I show him a picture of her, his jaw drops to the fucking floor. His eyes are wide, his jaw drops, he becomes pale as a ghost, he starts sweating, like whole 9 yards. But now he's making me scared. So I'm like, Dad, who is she? Do you know her? And he slowly like puts his hand over his mouth and he's like, and then he does that thing where, you know, you put your hands over your face and you're like, oh my god, like, you know, that sort of stressed out, you know, thing that humans do. So I keep asking him what's wrong and he comes over to me and he hugs me and he's like, from? Nothing. I'm just really upset that, you know, my daughter, my beautiful daughter, is being stalked. You know, we see this stuff happen in the movies, but it's scary when it happens in real life. Look at him playing along. Anyways, so after that, he was like very serious. He was like, listen, if she ever tries to get in contact with you again, you need to tell me and we are going to the authorities. And I'm like, all right, okay, Dad. So the next day, my dad has this like last minute conference work trip that he has to go to. So he came back like 3 days later, and can I just say, whoever walked back through that door was not my dad. Like, his whole attitude changed, his demeanor changed. I've never seen my dad like this ever in my life. Now, usually whenever my dad would get back from a work trip, if it was a bad one, he would be super stressed out. So I kind of knew to just leave him alone, so that way my mom would, you know, talk to him about it, handle that shit, you know. But this was obviously different, okay? Now, one thing I just want you guys to remember real quick. Clearly, I was not paying too much attention to my dad's moods, okay? Like, I wasn't paying attention to the way that he was acting because I didn't know back then what I know now, you know? I mean, obviously later I was able to connect the dots, but I mean, yeah. But if you guys think I'm stupid for not questioning how he was acting, it's because I thought it was a normal mood swing for him, you know? But the way that my dad was acting was putting a really big strain on him and my mom's relationship. They would fight all hours of the day over the most stupid shit. But then it started to get weird, because then their fights turned into my dad saying, we don't have enough money for this and that, we're going broke, we need to stop going out eating, we need to stop going out and doing activities if we want to be able to afford this house. And this was weird because just last month my dad was talking about how we were going to go to Europe for a month for vacation, and he was going to get a brand new car, not a cheap car either. And I get it, people fall on rough times, but no, I don't know, it was just weird. So yeah, the routine was they would get into an argument, one of them would leave the house, they would get into a really bad argument, my dad would go on a work trip for 2 or 3 weeks and then come back. But every time he came back, he was worse than he was when he left. Well, in the midst of all this bullshit that I'm going through, I get a DM from this girl off of a fake account again. And she says, hey, if you want to know the truth about everything, meet me at your mom's coffee shop. So since I promised my dad that I would tell him the next time that she got in contact with me, I decided to show him the message that she sent me. And I was on spring break for my senior year. So my dad was like, I'm taking your phone for now, da 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 da. And then that night, while we're all sitting down at dinner, my dad says that we need to move. So my mom and I look at each other and we're like, what the hell are you talking about? We need to move, why? And of course I'm super pissed off because this is my last year. I'm almost done with my senior year in high school. You are going to make me miss graduation with all the people that I've grown up with my whole life. You're gonna make me miss prom? No. So I'm telling him about why we shouldn't move. My mom's agreeing with me. He's getting pissed off. So after dinner, my dad storms upstairs, goes to bed, and my mom and I start talking, and we're like, yeah, ever since that I told him about the stalking incident, he's been acting weird. So we're sitting here and we're just thinking like he's really nervous, you know, he doesn't feel safe in this neighborhood anymore or this town anymore. But we were so established here. My mom owned 2 successful coffee shops that she built from the ground up. My dad, his main office for work was here, and my dad made a lot of money. So for him to just want to pick up, quit his job and move, something was not right. So my mom convinced him that we should stay until the end of the summer, and if things didn't get better by the end of the summer, then we would move. So the whole summer I spent begging my dad for us not to leave, but the more my mom and I would try to talk to him, the more that he would just get pissed off. So my mom eventually ended up selling one of her coffee shops. So since this was now official, I posted on my social medias that I was moving at the end of the summer, and I wanted to have a little get together, like a going away party for myself. And that's whenever I get a DM from a random account again, and she's like, listen, I really want to tell you the truth before you leave. Please meet me at one of your mom's coffee shops today around 1. So I decided that I'm not going to tell my dad about this one, and since she wants to meet in person, I'm not too threatened by the idea of us meeting up. But also my dad was dealing with enough of his bullshit. He did not want to deal with my shit, so I was not going to tell him about this. And also this would have further cemented it in his mind that we needed to go. This was not safe for us. So I walk in, I sit down, she introduces herself, and it was really weird because she just like jumped right into telling me her life story. She told me about how she had a really rough childhood growing up. It's always just been her and her mom. Her dad was never there for her, meaning he would come and stay for like a week and then he would be gone for like 3 months. She also told me about how she went 2 years without seeing her father the one time because he literally forgot about them, or he just did not want to be around them. He didn't want to see his child. And I guess this really took a toll on her mom. By the way, we're gonna call this girl Dixie now. You know, she's not the stalker anymore. She's Dixie. Well, Dixie's mother's dying, so she moved here with her mom to try and be closer to her dad. And Dixie's mom was really hoping that Dixie's dad might just step up to the plate and finally take responsibility for his only child, the one that he kept in secret for 17 years. And as I'm sitting there, I'm feeling really bad, but I don't know what the fuck this has to do with me. And why the fuck was she talking to me about it? Sis, get a therapist. And then she was like, well, scratch that actually. Start taking care of the child that he didn't want. And then she was like, well, scratch that. Hopefully he will start taking care of the child that he didn't want. And then she asked if I want to see a picture of her dad. So I'm like, yeah, sure. What the fuck else do I say whenever somebody asks me if they want to see a picture of their dad? I don't know. So she hands it to me and I'm staring at this picture. And then I look back up at her and I'm like, where the fuck did you get this? You fucking creep. And she's like, that's my dad. I'm like, no the fuck it's not. You're funny and you're weird and I'm about to call the cops. And she just stares at me and I'm like, listen, you have stalked me now for over a year and now you're telling me that we have the same dad. Why would I believe you? Especially whenever I gave you multiple chances to talk to me within the past year and you just didn't want to. So then she pulls out a picture of my dad in the hospital with her mom holding her as a baby after her mother had just given birth. She was like, our dad doesn't love my mom like he loves yours. He accidentally got my mom knocked up, and when he goes away on business trips, he's actually coming to visit us so that way he can take care of us, you know, help my mom go to doctor's appointments, take us grocery shopping, everything like that. And he's been doing this because he doesn't want my mom and I to tell you and your mom about what he's been doing. I'm like, all right, you gotta tell my mom about this. You have to, because she deserves to know the fucking truth. So she gets her mom over to the coffee shop. I get my mom over to the coffee shop, and she gets here and she's like, there's no fucking emergency. Why am I here? And so she's like, I'm going. Your dad's throwing a fit. So then I ripped the keys out of her hand and I'm like, you're staying because you need to hear this. So fast forward, we're sitting with Dixie and her mom, and her mom pretty much just tells my mom everything that happened. So pretty much my mom and my dad got pregnant with me before they were married, and because of the religious beliefs, they had to get married before I was born. So my dad's friend really wanted to throw him a bachelor party while my mom stayed home and made the DIY decorations for the wedding that was literally in 3 days. So my dad went to New York with his friends while my mom stayed home pregnant, and he ended up screwing an exotic dancer and spending the whole weekend with her. So it wasn't even like a one night fuck and then, you know, but they ended up exchanging numbers and everything like that, and then she's pregnant with Dixie. And Dixie was born 3 months after me. And I felt so bad for my mom, and Dixie's mom was trying to make my mom feel better, but I knew it wasn't working, and I knew my mom was probably about to snap. He always loved you. He still does love you. He tells me every time that he comes and he sees Dixie and I. The only reason why he comes to see us is because he feels like he has to pay us off. And then we figure out why he said that we've been having money troubles and why we need to move. It's because the money troubles, he didn't want us going out to dinner or anything like that and seeing Dixie and her mom, so that way we wouldn't run into each other, you know. And the moving part was just he literally wanted to get away from Dixie and Dixie's mom and never have to see them again. And my dad, my mom, and I would just live out this happy, perfect life, you know, happy big family. So my mom did not go home that night. We stayed at my grandma's house. She went to a lawyer in the morning, got the papers drawn up. I don't know how that shit works, but she got it done quick as fuck. So we got home. She threw the papers at my dad. She told him to pack his shit and get the fuck out of the house. We did end up having to sell the house, sell my mom's coffee shops, because my dad got half and half of everything. And then also Dixie's mom was able to sue my dad because he had all this money and he wasn't paying his child support or something like that, you know? Because I guess Dixie's mom did take him to court for child support. Anyway, so Dixie's mom eventually ended up passing away, sadly. So after that, my mom and I took Dixie Michigan, and now Dixie and I are going to the same college. We did move to another state, so we're living in a tiny, cute little house 30 minutes away from my college, and it's awesome because I feel like I have a real sister now. It is awkward though, because the only time that I do see my dad is whenever I go to my grandparents' house for holidays, and Dixie has never met our grandma, so she never knows if she's invited to go or not, and nobody really knows about Dixie. Okay everyone, that is the end of today's story time. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of me, maybe hit that subscribe button down below. And if you want to know whenever I post my next story time, make sure to click that bell. And don't forget, if you want to send in your anonymous story time, or you want to know how to send in a story time, I have the links down below for that in the description. But other than that, I will see you guys next Saturday with a new video.